at the same time, they had French legionnaires were in there, consulting with the Saudis on how to take back the mosque and all that. So, and then our embassy, there was a rumor that the CIA had actually been responsible for the siege at Mecca for the rebels, and so in Pakistan they burned down our embassy and they killed some of our people.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Follow me or stay the hell away from what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Become a fireman.
Yeah. I always had an interest in law enforcement, and I'd let him know that, and he said, that's cool, that's great, but you have a college education, I sent you to school, but so there are other options too with law enforcement. He said, there's the feds, like Secret Service, FBI. So you got NYPD and other options. So think it all the way through, type thing. So,
well, what was the allure of being a cop, being law enforcement?
Well, look, I got to be honest with you guys. For me, I'm a big movie guy. So I'm watching Dirty Harry. I'm watching the French Connection, the 7-Ups. I ate that stuff up. I was like learning all the lines for Dirty Harry. I could do all these, so that was that was the allure. These guys are cool. They're dynamic. They're brave. They're kind of on the edge sometimes. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm not an on the edge type person, so that kind of was wow. That's cool stuff.
It had some allure to you.
Yeah,
because that wasn't you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So when I'm in the Arab neighborhood in Paterson, New Jersey, and I go in there with my business cards, and all of a sudden I'm thinking Popeye Doyle, where he goes into the bar. Hey, I'm strange here. Everybody up. Hey, this is cool. I'm actually doing that. We're reliving this, and all these Arab guys are watching CNN with Scud missiles hitting our people in Saudi Arabia, and they're yelling, and I know Arabic, and they're yelling, "Go Scud, go!" So I just went. I was with a partner. I just flipped, and I said, "Hey, everybody up!" And I start throwing my cards all over. I'm coming back here. I'm watching you guys. And I walked out going, "Holy shit, that was Gene Hackman back there." But we were pissed off that this was happening in our country.
Oh yeah, I remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
So the French Connection, we Mike and I have a connection to the French Connection.
No.
So Joseph Imbruglia, who was involved in the French Connection.
Yeah. Our
friend Charlie Cifarelli's father worked very closely with Joseph Imbruglia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's our connection to the French Connection.
Right. Yeah, my dad's friend was Eddie Egan, who was actually played a role in the movie.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, he was an actor at the end.
So where'd you go to college?
So I went to Lemoyne College. It's up in Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse.
It's a Jesuit school. Pretty cold place.
Yeah. A lot of snow.
Lots of snow. Yeah, you kind of
couldn't just take summer classes up there.
I wish.
It still snows in the summer in Syracuse.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it was our senior clam bake, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
This was in May. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back.
I don't know. That's really Syracuse is really, really far.
Yeah,
that and Buffalo. Forget it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Forget it. So you
go through Syracuse to go to Oswego.
Yes.
To go fishing.
Yeah.
For salmon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine had a boat, and we used to go salmon fishing.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful in the fall, but, the winter just sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the one year where they had like 16 feet of snow.
Right. And, we were actually going across the street like in tunnels, like snow tunnels. And I said, this is Ice Station Zebra stuff. Yeah. This is crazy.
And I always said they have like some elevated roadways there. What do you do with that snow? You look out below from the clouds. Pushing the snow over the side with the plow. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm sure they get one or two deaths covered with snow. Yeah. So, but what'd you study in college? Did you stay on that path for law enforcement?
No. So I actually, and I got to blame my dad for this again. So I got into languages. Spanish was the one. You saw me with Angel hanging out there. But so what happened is, we're living in Brooklyn in this house, and one morning I wake up and I hear this this Spanish guy's voice down the basement. Isabel, Jorge, and what's going on down there? So I open the door. My father is down there with this kind of record player, and he's studying Spanish, and he's repeating these names. So I said, Dad, what's this? He says, I'm studying Spanish. And I said, why? And he said, Well, the people in the precinct, we have a few Hispanic people, and the barbers down there in the junction, Nostrand and Flatbush, they cut hair. They're from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and I want to be able to talk to them. So come on and join me. So I did. And
that's a great cop right there.
Yeah.
Weave yourself into the fabric of your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. And so I liked it, and to me it was like music. The language is like music. So at the first chance I could take, I took a Spanish course in high school in Brooklyn, loved it, and there was no turning back. So it became my major in college, and I took a junior year abroad in Madrid, Spain, for a year. And, just kept going on and on. And now I was hoping to be like a Spanish teacher. So that's where that was going. But still in the back of the mind, I was interested in law enforcement, and I would always be.
I'm a literature major. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I went to college for literature, and I went to postgraduate for literature and stuff like this. And then I become a cop. And everybody will say, well, you did it, because I wanted to be a teacher, right?
Okay.
And, well, you went through all that education. What a waste. And I said, listen, my reports are rock solid. So it is not a waste by any means.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Too many people who want to get into police work, I got to go criminal justice. I got to go criminal justice.
Yeah, sure,
and,
sure.
I don't know whether it's the best move.
So, right after college, I'm looking for a job, and it wasn't going very well. But in the meantime, I was kind of seeding the local high schools, Long Island, with my resume. So about halfway through that year, I think it was like January, I got a call from one of these monks at LaSalle Military Academy, Christian brothers. And they said, hey, we need a Spanish teacher like yesterday. And it turns out the Spanish teacher was allegedly dealing on a field trip with the students. That's
frowned upon.
So,
Sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, it kind of opened the door for me, and I jumped at the chance. I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll go there. So, but the pay was like $8,400 a year.
Wow.
But you got a free lunch. The monks had a cook, so you got a free lunch.
That makes it worth it.
Yeah.
That'll save you $10 a day.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah, but it was a very interesting school. It was a private military academy, Christian brothers. And we had a lot of foreigners in the school. We had, apart from like Willie Mays' son, and we had the Shah of Iran. We had some of his
Reza Pahlavi
relatives, some of those people.
How the hell do I remember Reza Pahlavi?
I told you, you're an idiot savant.
He knows a lot of stuff. This guy is trivia. I could tell. He'd be tough in trivia.
Yeah, I do well in trivia.
I know you do.
Trivial Pursuit.
I could tell. So there were Gambinos. There were a lot of mafia kids and grandkids there at the school. Then we had Somoza, from Nicaragua, and his grandchildren, the dictator of Nicaragua at the time. Okay. So his people were there, and, all of these and a lot of Venezuelans with a lot of money at the time when it was rich. So the monks said, hey, you're teaching Spanish to the American kids. We have a lot of foreigners here. Would you consider teaching English as a second language? And I said, I'm not really that interested in doing that, but they go, please do it. So okay, I'll try it out. And then they financed some of my, English teaching certificates over at Stony Brook University. So I went there at night to get a few of these. And so now I'm teaching Spanish and English as a second language. And that becomes important because, after I do 2 years with them and I'm ready to take a job in the Bronx at a junior high school, which goes south. It goes south on me. I take a job in the Middle East as a teacher in Saudi Arabia.
So Will. My friend Will's brother was over in United Arab Emirates as teaching English as a second language. Right. And I think he did pretty well, and then that went south when relations started going bad and they had to get out. Right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, again, language. So, now I'm learning Arabic. So, and, I'm thinking, out in the future, JTTF, and I'm in a country teaching Arabic. And I'm also at a school for the royal family. So I'm, with King Faisal's grandkids, and I'm at the palaces, and I'm really kind of soaking all this in. And for, a young American guy, And there was some pretty beautiful princesses running around too, but you had to be very careful there, very careful.
You get something chopped off.
Yeah, I mean that, and yeah,
both heads.
There you go. The other head. Well, anyway, yeah. So all of a sudden, I'm there 5 years, and I'm in that direction. I meet my wife over there as well. She's a stewardess for the Saudi Arabian Airlines. So. And
is she Saudi as well?
No, she's from the Philippines.
Okay.
And her background was in nursing, but she said, you know what, I want to see the world before I become a nurse. So that's what happened. But I'm there less than a month, and the whole world, it seemed like the Middle East was just exploding everywhere. I'm there for like a month or 2 months, and Mecca, the rebels seize Mecca. There's the Mahdi, the next Christ for the Arabic world, has come. He's a former National Guard, and he has all these rebels that are ex-soldiers, and they just wipe out everyone in the mosque, and now there's this huge siege.
What year are we talking about here?
This is 1979.
Okay.
So, I'm in my apartment. I'm seeing all these C-130 Hercules with the Saudi emblem coming in. They're flying in, and we have nurse friends at the military hospital, and mostly British gals. And so they're telling us, oh my God, these soldiers are all chewed up. Their legs are off. It's just horrible what's going on. So, that was going on. And, after a few weeks, the Saudis got it under control, and they beheaded like 70 people in cities all over. And I got invited to one of these things.
Beheadings?
And I said, no. Because it's something I don't think you can unsee.
Yeah,
something like that.
I got to be honest with you.
Say.
If I'm thinking about that,
yeah.
when is the next chance you're going to have a chance to go see a live execution? I mean, as gory as it sounds,
yeah.
It's almost. Yeah. I don't know whether I could have turned it down, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not glorifying what happened.
No. I get it. It's curiosity.
Absolutely,
absolutely, and and the Saudis are very severe, so this won't happen again, type thing. So, and at the same time, we had our hostages in Iran. So this is going on. And then
the Iran hostage crisis.
With the Argo situation.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly right. And then
Ben Affleck did a great job getting them out of there.
That was a great movie. Yeah. But at the same time, they had French legionnaires were in there, consulting with the Saudis on how to take back the mosque and all that. So, and then our embassy, there was a rumor that the CIA had actually been responsible for the siege at Mecca for the rebels, and so in Pakistan they burned down our embassy and they killed some of our people. So all of this was kind of playing out. And then Iraq went to war at the same time period. So
you're in a powder keg.
Oh my God! Exactly. I'm sitting in a powder keg. This is one volatile region. And now I'm meeting Sunnis and Shiites as well, and they don't mix together very well. So for me, this was a tremendous learning experience. And when I left after 5 years, the first place I go is Egypt. And most people, when they go to Egypt, they're there on the Nile or seeing the pyramids and all that. Normal. No, I go to where Sadat was killed. I said, take me to the grandstand. I want to see where Sadat was murdered by the Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah. So that's my mindset, and that's what kind of happened with me.
It's a similar mindset. So police have a morbid curiosity. We talk about the beheading, and as much as I wouldn't want to see that, would be as much as I couldn't undo that. Have you ever run into that where I want to see where this happened? Like when I was in Chicago, I went to where John Wayne Gacy's house is.
Oh my God!
And I'm because to me, I like to touch history.
Sure.
It's funny you say that because I know a lot of cops that are that way.
Right.
It's there in the town I worked in, there was a mob hit, and I could tell you right where it was.
Right.
And the house was built a certain way because it was a mob boss. It was done right at the end of the driveway. Yeah. And I don't know. It's a fascination thing. I don't know if it's a commonality amongst all people, but I've met a lot of people like that.
So you know what? I got really taken aback by the Dakota. Where John Lennon was killed.
Lennon, shot there.
See, I've never been there. I've never been to Dakota.
No. That's crazy. I just walked by. I just had this eerie feeling when I looked at it. I was
for sure. That's right.
Like that's where history happened. Like in Chicago, there was a couple hits. I had to go to where the former site of the Lexington Hotel.
Right.
I had to go see where the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was, which is just an empty lot.
Right.
And then where Dillinger was shot.
Right.
And the Dillinger shot is actually really cool.
Yeah.
But the Gacy house was the most morbid because
that's crazy.
So it was like his address was like 1713.
Yeah.
And they took the house down because they had to get it up. Yeah. But so now it goes from 1711 to 1715, and they erased that number.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. How cool is that?
Yeah. But that's funny. You have to go see that stuff.
Right.
You still missed the beheading, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe the next life.
Catch the next one.
Anyway,
stay around for a little while. Me and Kevin are a little, I got the knife in the car.
I'm chasing a princess, and then they had an intervention by the other teachers saying, "Hey, let's cut it out with this princess because we can all get in a lot of trouble, and you the worst."
Oh wait, you were trying to date one of the princesses?
There was a princess that was coming to be tutored by one of the wives of a fellow teacher, and so I just kind of bumped into her at our villa, and all of a sudden you get sparks and chemistry, and this speaks English, beautiful, and I guess the allure of a princess, but dangerous, very dangerous stuff, and it was kind of an intervention. My roommate said, "Hey, you cannot, you're going to screw it up for everybody here," so I had to back off. Actually, a good thing I did. The next guy that dated her.
You could have been King Kenneth.
I could have been beheaded, and I wouldn't be here. But she picked up with some French professor, and he was deported. And what I heard, she ended up in a mental hospital or something. So kind of glad those guys kind of
pulled back a little bit.
A little bit.
You got your friends to thank for that.
Yeah, thanks, friends.
So. Eventually, it comes a time where that little nagging draw to law enforcement becomes a reality.
Right.
How did that happen?
Right. So when I finished up in Saudi Arabia, decided to go on for like a master's degree, and I was looking at Columbia University, maybe international politics, something like that. And there was another school called Thunderbird School of Global Management in Phoenix. I opted for that one. I liked Arizona, sunshine, all that
Not as much snow as Syracuse.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I went there, and I took Arabic courses and Middle East courses, and took a Spanish commercial course. And
you're just making yourself really valuable.
Yeah, not knowing it, right? And then I got an internship with the State Department. And they sent me to Muscat, Oman, and my wife became the nurse for a summer. But so during this time, this school, they had a lot of people there that were. Had language background, had been well-traveled, and so the CIA was going there pretty frequently to recruit, and then the FBI showed up. And so this one, he was a Mormon guy, Paul Mortensen, and he gave a speech, and afterward we chatted, and he said, "Well, what's your background?" I said, "Well," and he said, "Why don't you apply? I think you'd be perfect. Stuff is happening in the Middle East, and you've got this background, and I think you should maybe apply. You can apply."
It's not the same guy who was Joe Pistone's handler, was it? Because he was a Mormon too.
Yeah. No, there's a bunch of Mormons in the FBI, also in the CIA as well. But I don't know. Maybe it could have been.
I don't know. Because finding a Mormon in law enforcement is not. I didn't think it would be that common.
Yeah. No, it is actually. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I guess they're straight-laced people.
Yeah. Don't drink. Don't smoke. Don't chase princesses.
So you get interviewed by FBI?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Like what? So you don't apply for the FBI. I guess you have to be chosen. You have to be recruited.
I mean, in this case, it was kind of both him and me. We're both interested in it. But they go out, they look at people, and you can if you have any interest, you can just apply, and they'll look at your resume and talk to you. Go from there.
You're going through this process. Obviously, you tell your father.
Yeah.
And what'd your father say?
Good luck.
Really?
Good luck, son. If that's what makes you happy. But he was the type of guy that's, if you want to be an engineer, go for it. If you want to be a literature professor, go for it. It's just wanted his kids to be happy.
If my son ever wanted to become a cop, I'd sit down. And I think I'd have a talk with him. I'm willing to dissuade him because I think that's pointless.
Yeah. You said I'd never get in the way of someone's dream.
Right.
But I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you.
Say, look, you're getting in a job where you're always going to be the most unpopular guy in the room.
Right.
when you show, especially a municipal cop or something like that.
No, until the day that the PBA cards come out, and then you're the most popular guy in the room.
Exactly.
Right. You're the most popular guy around.
That's right.
So you take the job?
Yeah. So, I mean, it took a while because they're doing this extensive background investigation, and I'm not the typical, I lived 2 places in my life. I'm like all over the place. So it took a long time. It took about a year for them to complete my background. And then, then I got an offer to go down to Quantico. And so I said, hey, okay, let's do it. It's kind of another door opens up in my life, and, I'll take it.
I think Quantico is one of those mythical places. Everybody knows what Quantico is.
Just heard of it.
Yeah.
When you go through the FBI Academy,
right?
What's that like? Is it, I mean, you had some background because your father obviously went through some form of an academy. Mm-hmm. So you have some sort of metric. Is it vastly different, or is it very similar?
So, I couldn't really tell you, exactly what my father went through as opposed to Quantico, but I was an older, I had joined at age 34 and the cutoff was 35. So I was a little older and I had a little more experience than my classmates who were like in their late 20s type thing. And so kind of that was going on. I wasn't in the best physical shape, although I had deluded myself that I was, because I could run 1.5 miles, even though the course was 2 miles. So and it became apparent during our first exam, the physical fitness test. So I wasn't in the best of shape. Pull-ups were, 0. I got a big 0. Hey, I'm a tall guy. That's what I kept telling myself. It's hard.
But it's my understanding they're not really focused as much on physical. There's other things in there that they're looking at that you bring value to.
Yeah. So we're taking legal courses, and physical fitness was a big one. Firearms also pretty big, pretty important. We would do mock trials, we do arrests, situational things like in Hogan's Alley, the Biograph Theater. We'd have a little Biograph Theater, Dillinger, right? So all of that's going on, and then who shows up to, decides to make a movie while I'm there, but, Clarice Starling.
Oh,
Special
Jodie
Agent
Foster.
Clarice Starling.
Well, they show her that one scene that Quantico shooting, and I think it was raining out.
Yeah. So she was in our class. She attended a lot of our classes, and she actually went on this run with us. They call it the Yellow Brick Run.
The Yellow Brick Run.
It's like a 10K or something with obstacle courses and cargo nets and a wall, that thing. And she actually almost finished it. So I was like, way to go, Jody. She wasn't very friendly, but. I did ask her. I was sitting with her on a bus, and I said, Miss Foster, tonight we're going to have a few beers in this place on campus. And she said, no, thanks. And just looked out, maybe thinking of Hannibal Lecter. I don't know what she was thinking of.
The old Ed Gaines story.